It's like when Bashar explains, your higher self is on top of a mountain and it can see the road very clearly. It knows where you need to go, what you need to do in order to reach your fullest potential, your fulfillment. And your lower self is here in the matrix in the 3D. And hence why, as the avatar, you can't really see your path. You can sense it, you're intuitive with your higher self, and that's where you have synchronicities, that's where you have, glimpses, images, messages. Some people hear voices. I don't hear voices. Mine is just intuition. I automatically know what I need to do. So that's your higher self communicating with yourself, with your lower self, through synchronicities, through your senses. And hence why you always have to follow your excitement. Because your excitement might lead you to connect with somebody that's going to help you in your path. So as long as you follow your excitement, and that's what's great about it. It's not difficult. It's the path of least resistance. It's something that excites you, fulfills you. It's your passion, and that's how you know your path. And Bashar is pretty accurate with that and very interesting. So your higher self on top of a mountain, lower self in this world, and hence why it's crucial to be connected, because that's your GPS. If you're not connected to GPS, you're just wandering around, trial and error, but not really knowing the path. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and I go over the Gene Keys. The book Gene Keys, we're at number 14. I wanted to thank all the subscribers. I'm almost at 60 now. If you think about it, that's 2 classes. So thanks for commenting. I finally had some interaction on this page. So feel free to communicate, feel free to give me some feedback, and feel free to comment. I really, really like that last comment, lady from Ecuador. So thank you for that, and thank you for participating. So eventually I would like to create like a community where no one gets judged and whoever is in it wants to evolve. So it's a community that can help each other, but of course that's going to be with time, and like that we can all interact. So a safe haven for people to come and chill out and hang out here. So yeah, that's in the future. I hope your 2024 has been off to a good start. We are blessed if that's the case. So Gene Key number 14. The shadow is something that we've all experienced and we're still experiencing. So the wonderful shadow of compromise. The gift out of that comes out competence. And the city level out of the gift of competence is bounteousness. So let's start. The shadow, compromise. The leaking wagon. In the Chinese I Ching, the word for the 14th hexagram is usually translated by the phrase possession in great measure, and it is traditionally symbolized by a large wagon laden down with goods. It is a symbol of wealth, health, and prosperity, which are all themes linked to good fortune as well as hard work. This 14th gene key and its shadow really concerns the way in which humans work. It concerns the actual choice of work you do, the people you work with, and above all, the way you work. Every human being has a built-in genetic need to work. Interestingly, the very word work has become associated in the English language with the concept of effort, which shows just how deeply the collective shadow of this 14th gene key has descended into our lives. Work can actually mean many different things. It all depends upon your attitude towards life. The source of the 14th shadow is compromise, and compromise has become the norm for the majority of the people on this planet. Compromise has become so embedded in our psyches that we don't even realize that we are doing it anymore. Compromise is the byproduct of living without a sense of personal freedom. It implies a lack of imagination and an inability to believe in the power of your own uniqueness and individuality. The 14th shadow is paired with the 8th shadow of mediocrity, and thus we humans live sandwiched between these 2 low-frequency victim states, unable to envision a way out of our uninspired life situations. Even those of us who can see a way out of our dissatisfaction rarely have the courage to actually follow through with our dreams because of a deep-seated fear that we lack the power and capacity to complete the long journey towards those dreams. Compromise begins deep inside us. It begins when we are very young. As we inherit the world shadows from our parents and our schooling, many people dream and aspire to greatness when they are young. But most have given up on their dreams by the time they reach their 40s. Many give up much earlier, and some of us never even get off the ground. Most young children growing up in today's world dream of being film stars, or footballers, or famous singers, and most adults see these dreams as passing phases in a young person's life. However, these young people are unconsciously projecting their own inherent urge to excel in an area of life. This kind of early dreamy aspiration actually burns at a very high frequency, and if it can be maintained, harnessed, and given direction, it will eventually lead these children in the direction of their excellence. The sad truth is that the dreams of most children are stamped out by their schools in the endless monotony of the set educational curricula. It is in school that most children learn to associate work with boredom, effort, and drudgery. The problem with such modern school systems is that they tend to homogenize children, treating them as one collective body that needs to be educated, instead of treating every individual differently. Many children simply do not suit schools at all. Added to this, if one's parents do not believe in themselves, then it will be very difficult for them to creatively inspire their children. It is small wonder then that we humans cannot sustain the enthusiasm of our dreams long into our adulthood, ironically at a time when we need that enthusiasm the most. Compromise is bred into us through society's systems. Whenever you compromise, you are settling for second best, and so you can never fully enjoy what you do in life. If you do not enjoy it, you can never excel in it. Enjoyment and enthusiasm are the fuel in the turbine that drives you to excel. All children are born with a certain genius, and if allowed to develop in the right direction, that genius will inevitably emerge, and the work that they do will inspire others to achieve the same high standards. Genius itself is highly contagious, just as compromise is. Because genius is so contagious and empowering, individuals can truly change the collective frequency of the whole of humanity. Compromise is often a very subtle thing at the beginning. It is not really about your action, but about your spirit. If you do something that you don't really like, but it is a stepping stone towards your dreams, then that will transform the way in which you do it. If, however, you do something that you don't like because society has in some way pressured you to do it, then you are on a slippery slope. That kind of compromise can easily become a habit, and in the end, it will sap your spirit and draw you further away from your true potential. You need to keep your enthusiasm alive by seeing what you do as a part of your overall direction in life. This is how you can bring meaning into even the dullest of jobs. The 64 gene keys contain the genetic codes for all possible types of genius. This is what the 64 gifts are. They form the collective matrix for true human genius. The misunderstanding about genius concerns its definition, which has been narrowed down by mainstream use to refer mostly to the faculty of intellect. However, the etymology of the word genius points towards a far more mysterious faculty, a kind of guiding spirit or daemon within your life. Such a spirit might be seen to be your higher self, your hologenetic profile operating through you at a much higher frequency. It's like when Bashar explains, your higher self is on top of a mountain, and it can see the road very clearly. It knows where you need to go, what you need to do in order to reach your fullest potential, your fulfillment. And your lower self is here in the matrix in the 3D. And hence why, as the avatar, you can't really see your path. You can sense it, you're intuitive with your higher self, and that's where you have synchronicities, that's where you have, glimpses, images, messages. Some people hear voices. I don't hear voices, mine is just intuition. I automatically know what I need to do. So that's your higher self communicating with yourself, with your lower self, through synchronicities, through your senses. And hence why you always have to follow your excitement. because your excitement might lead you to connect with somebody that's going to help you in your path. So as long as you follow your excitement, and that's what's great about it. It's not difficult. It's the path of least resistance. It's something that excites you, fulfills you. It's your passion, and that's how you know your path. And Bashar is pretty accurate with that and very interesting. So your higher self on top of a mountain, lower self in this world, and hence why it's crucial to be connected, because that's your GPS. If you're not connected to GPS, you're just wandering around. Trial and error, but not really knowing the path. Genius denotes great creativity, originality, and enthusiasm, but it is in no way limited to people of high intellectual capacity. This 14th gene key forms a genetic codon group called the Ring of Fire, which suggests that genius is a spark that needs to be fanned into action. The other chemical component of this Ring of Fire is the first gene key with its gift of freshness. Genius is therefore intimately connected to this idea of freshness and newness. The greatest damage done to individuals in our world is the continual programming by the low-frequency collective consciousness that forces people to compromise and give up on their dreams. The spark of genius is there at birth. So all you have to do is just be born. And that's why birth is a miracle. Just the fact that you're here, just the fact that I'm here speaking to you is a miracle. And people take that for granted. So the spark of genius is there at birth. And if recognized at an early age, the child can lead a childhood individually tailored to fan the flames of that particular genius. So just like how, when you're building a fire, it's funny because Turkish people, they always do that when they create kebabs. So you build a fire and then you got to fan it. You got to keep the fire going. If you stop fanning it, the fire will fizzle out. So you got to keep fanning it. You got to keep fanning it until your kebab or your vegan kebab is fully cooked, and then it's ready. Finally, compromise cannot bring your prosperity because it makes you a follower rather than a creator. True prosperity emerges from doing what we are here to do rather than being simply another cog in a collective machine. Prosperity is a byproduct of individual creative endeavor and requires a sustained sense of empowered direction. The moment you make a compromise, your wagon begins to leak energy. The riches that you were born with begin to decay. The very frequency of compromise negates the possibility of good fortune and synchronicity. It is a no man's land where nothing of beauty can ever occur, and no trace of inherent genius and purpose can be realized. So the repressive nature and the reactive nature of the shadow of compromise is, let's start with the repressive nature. So if you internalize this internally, you're an introvert and you're expressing the shadow, how will it come out? So the repressive nature is impotent. You become impotent. For those who are unconsciously dominated by fear, the 14th shadow represents an almost inescapable dilemma. The more one compromises in life, the more powerless one feels to escape. A great deal of our actual vital life energy is held within this 14th gene key. And when we do not release this energy through work that we find fulfilling, our power becomes choked up inside us. The word impotent has a double connotation of applying to our sexuality, which is also deeply connected to this 14th gene key. Sexual vibrancy and fertility in part rises and falls upon how much fulfillment we get out of our lives. Making compromises out of fear will actually deplete our fertility. Impotence does not necessarily mean that one appears weak. Repressed natures often do a good job of hiding their weakness by going along with whatever happens. True impotence in this respect is about not having the courage to stand alone and pursue one's unique path. So the reactive nature. What happens if you're extrovert and you're expressing the shadow extrovertly? So the reactive nature is enslaved. So again, this is all about momentum. So if you compromise from a very early age, once you hit 40, you got 40 years of uncompromising to do just to catch up. So that's why it's all about momentum. The sooner you can be authentic to yourself, the sooner you can live the life that you're passionate about. You can follow your dreams and what makes you happy, because that's individual to everybody. What makes me happy isn't necessarily what makes you happy. What I'm good at isn't necessarily what you're good at. And this is the beauty of it all. We're all branches from the same tree, but every branch is different, going towards a different direction. And hence, when you look at the entireness, you see the tree of life. And that's what we are. We are each part of this beautiful tree, but each of us are unique. So enslavement. The reactive nature of this shadow is also based upon basic insecurity, but instead of collapsing into impotence, these people react by trying to prove themselves. This is a classic pattern in the world today. We see people working hard in jobs that are not really right for them, in an attempt to prove to themselves and others that they are special. These people are enslaved to their own need for recognition. Ironically, even if they receive recognition, it doesn't fulfill them because they have never unleashed their true potential in life. Such people are merely pretending to be powerful in life. If you provoke them, they will soon show their insecurity through their rage. True power never needs to prove itself to others or the world. True power is only concerned with the job at hand. And that's true. If you need to prove something to someone, if you need to show someone how good you are, then that's, showing your insecurities. That basically means that you don't think you're good enough, and therefore you got to prove it through a title, through fame, through, whatever the world thinks that it's successful, through money. But true power is silent. True power doesn't speak. True power doesn't need to speak. True power is, it simply is. What happens when you're in the shadow for a long time? What happens when you compromise and you compromise and you compromise and sometimes, it's just to be nice. Your family wants you to do something and you're like, all right. Your family wants you to move somewhere and you're like, all right. Sometimes you're trying to be a good boy or a good girl and then you compromise. So again, once you're in the shadow of compromisation for a while, the gift becomes the 14th gift, the wonderful gift of competence, the fire in the belly. As we have seen, within every human being lies a latent genius, and this genius emerges when you stop making compromises in life. Competence is the quality that accompanies a person who loves what they are doing. It is one of those gifts that cannot be taught because true competence hints at much more than simply doing things well. Competence carries within it efficiency, enthusiasm, flair, and flexibility, the 4 keys to material success. It is efficient because it finds the quickest and simplest solution to any obstacles along its path. It is enthusiastic because it is deeply fulfilled by what it does. It has flair because it is doing something in a manner that no one else can, and it is flexible because it can be applied to any sphere of human enterprise imaginable. To be competent means to be able to think both logically and laterally whenever needed. The key to efficiency is the ability to switch spontaneously between creativity and receptivity, which means that it is self-adjusting. At the same time as acting, this gift is simultaneously listening and responding to its environment. Inside your body, this awareness corresponds to the solar plexus area, which is the biophysical zone that dictates how centered you feel at any given moment. To feel centered is to move and breathe from the belly. And for centuries, many cultures have understood this truth. The whole notion of the solar plexus and the fire in the belly comes from a profound understanding of the power of this region of our body. The navel is seen symbolically as the front of human power and fertility, and the 14th gift harnesses this vast internal power. The secret of the belly is about drawing rather than pushing. A good analogy of this can be found in the differing techniques used in carpentry around the world. In the Orient, the saw is pulled towards the belly rather than being forced away as it is in the Western style. The resulting cut is finer than one made through pushing. It also uses far less energy to pull the saw towards the belly than it does to push it away with your muscles. The only advantage of the Western style is that it is faster. In the long run, quality is always a more economical investment than quantity. Competence in this sense is about performing a task with complete precision and elegance, an alignment with natural and harmonious rhythms. The 14th gift of competence is one of those gifts that is extremely contagious. As noted, one of its manifestations is enthusiasm, which is such an essential quality within any group, enterprise, or business. Indeed, this 14th gift is the main ingredient of any successful business venture or team. The enthusiasm that comes from this gift is the binding force that creates cohesion within groups. Those who have the 14th gift strongly activated in their hologenetic profile are often the driving force that can implement a particular vision or idea. Theirs is the gift of raising the team spirit that is necessary to get an idea off the paper and into the world. It is also interesting to note that a competent team cannot contain members who compromise. All team members must be joined together in mutual enthusiasm for the same ideal. The programming partner of the 14th gift is the 8th gift of style. Competence also has a unique approach to everything. To be competent in something is to innovate new and exciting ways of tackling things on the material plane. The 14th gift also respects the unique and individual style and input of others. These people have real flair. They are not afraid of doing things in their own unique way, even though it may never have been seen or done before. At the same time, these people do not reject the advice of others if it helps in their task, making them powerful team players. If this 14th gift is a part of your hologenetic profile, or you simply feel drawn to it, you are probably someone who will work best within a small team. Whether you are the leader of the team does not matter. The only thing that matters is that your unique capacities are respected. These are people with an enormous capacity to work at something if they really love what they are involved in and those with whom they are working. In this respect, they are natural teachers of others, since they imbue people with a sense of their own independence and confidence. The 14th gift also has another latent power, the power of attraction. Competence creates a powerful magnetic field that not only draws in the right support, but also has the ability to magnetize material wealth. Once you have attained the gift of frequency, the tendency is for consciousness to keep expanding. This is the origin of the many folk sayings about money and wealth. For example, it takes wealth to become wealthy, or wealthy begets wealth. Prosperity is an infectious energy field that grows exponentially as long as it is used in the service of empowerment. Competence is unafraid of success and power and radiates confidence and assuredness wherever it goes. It is a force field that naturally creates prosperity. It cannot do otherwise because it has so much creative power within it. It has only to find the right outlet in the world. Finally, the 14th gift has great flexibility. You cannot be rigid and competent at the same time. Competence is the working aura of someone who loves the material work they are involved in, whether that be in the office or at home in the family. Mothers, in particular, who have the 14th gift can create all the dynamics within a family for spiritual, emotional, and material prosperity. As the backbone of the family, their powerful spirit will infuse and empower each child as they grow, as well as inspire strength and purpose in their partners or husbands. In fact, the moment you activate the 14th gift, you release a certain aroma through your DNA that soon makes you the backbone and mainstay of any family or team. Moreover, your aura of confidence and capability can be easily transferred in any direction. This flexibility is not the same as having skill. It is a fearless openness to grapple with any task in a realistic and focused way. If you do not know how to do something, you learn. And once you have learned it, you can apply it to other areas of life. In this way, the 14th gift continually extends its potential in many different directions simultaneously. So, once you're in this gift level for a while, so you've hit the shadow of compromise. After being in the shadow of compromise for a while, you move on to the gift level of competence. You don't compromise anymore. You do what you love and you're competent at it. So, it's beyond just a skill. You create your own energetic field through your enthusiasm and through your work. And you do that for a while. Then you hit the city level. And what's the city level after this? It's
bounteousness,
which is wonderful. The single-celled heaven. At the acidic level of consciousness, energy is transmitted through the individual via the medium of the morphogenetic field. Morphogenetic fields are energetic grids that connect all creatures and particles of matter at a subatomic level. In order for a human being to utilize the power of this energetic matrix, their body must emit a very high frequency wavelength. At the acidic level, their whole being becomes like a vacuum. Something astounding occurs to the chemistry of a person at the acidic level. And this transformation is so physiologically powerful that it literally drives the occupant, commonly known as the ego, right out of the vehicle. It is interesting and perhaps controversial to some to note that the highest attainable state of consciousness in a human body is also akin to the lowest. It is the lowest in terms of the modus operandi of consciousness. For the human in the acidic level most closely resembles the most basic life form on our planet, the eukaryote. Eukaryotes, such as amoeba, are incapable of awareness, although they do have consciousness. And in this respect, they are the building blocks of life on our planet. These primitive single-celled organisms are an apt symbol of the acidic level of consciousness. They have a nucleus containing genetic instructions in some form of protective membrane, and that's about it. Likewise, for the one manifesting acidic state, there is no normal functioning of awareness. Naturally, human awareness continues, but it works mechanically and only when called upon by outside stimulus. Otherwise, the acidic state is very similar to that within the amoeba. There are genetic instructions to be followed from within the nucleus, but other than that, there is nothing. The 64 gene keys represent this genetic instruction within each human being. They form the archetypal alphabet that underlies the behavior of all humans. How clearly the instructions are followed depends upon the frequency of the vehicle and its chemistry. At the shadow level, there is a great deal of background noise to interfere with the instructions. This background noise comes from our past and the collective genetic past stored within your cells. As your genetic frequency moves towards the gift level, the noise diminishes as you begin to live less from your own past and more within each moment. However, even at this level, the collective genetic memory still remains as an unconscious, subtle conditioning element influencing your behavior. In the true acidic level, all trace of personal and genetic history has to be burned from your body. It's no small matter. One needs to try to understand the importance of this last statement. Inside every human being's DNA is stored the collective memory of every human who has come before him or her. That means every feeling, fear, aspiration, and desire dating back to the beginning of man's journey, and before this, every instinct within all the creatures from whom we have descended, going right back to the amoeba. All of the immeasurable genetic history of the evolutionary life on this planet has to be erased from our DNA. Only when this has occurred can humanity's true power be experienced without limitation. This is what the 14th city is about, and it is encapsulated within the name the ancient Chinese gave this archetype, possession in great measure. The 14th city is the core archetype of your power as an individual. It is the city of bounteousness, the ultimate legacy of what it means to be a human. The city is the true genetic inheritance of man, the ability to create an abundance. But the 14th city is not about accumulation, it is about fertility. Your true latent fertility lies mostly dormant in your genes. The 14th city flowers inside a person. They become a driving force for humanity itself. Their every word, thought, and deed reaches deep into the morphogenetic field and pushes the whole of humanity in a new direction. The direction of abundance. The overflowing fertile potential within humans is almost infinite. As the city testifies, If a single human can influence the entire direction of the species in a beneficial direction, one can only imagine what might happen if all humans were to manifest this city. The mass dawning of the 14th city would be what almost all cultures have at some time referred to the uniting of heaven and earth. Not just a golden age, but a permanent state in which all humans take the helm together, a state in which individual power and collective power become one and the same. As we saw with the 14th gift, this is a contagious gene key, and we should remember that it is also contagious at its shadow frequency. There are few things as contagious as compromise. However, at its highest level, the 14th gene key holds a great destiny for humanity. As people awaken through this city, it will begin to travel like wildfire through the world. Here is an example of how the morphogenetic field works. If someone truly is manifesting the 14th city, then merely thinking about them will trigger a flood of prosperity on many levels in your life. Even a single man or woman manifesting this city can create ripples of prosperity and spiritual well-being wherever they go. This is the origin of the ancient belief in the power of the guru. It is said that merely thinking of the guru or holding their photograph will bring about a beneficial transformation in your life. To conclude this 14th city, we need to understand one thing more, a difficult truth for some to stomach. Individual power is nothing more than a myth. Despite the fact that this 14th gene key is all about personal power, the 14th city is about the end of all things personal. At this level, we need to view humanity as one large expanding genetic vehicle. Each individual human is simply another set of bioenergetic instructions in the greater body. In this sense, individuality is actually the same thing as interference. If a cell within the body behaves as though it has an identity of its own, it cannot function clearly. It is as though the windows of that cell are dirty and information cannot pass efficiently and transparently from the greater body to the cell. Its illness is that it thinks it exists autonomously. Likewise, we humans, complex though we like to think ourselves, are akin to single-celled organisms within a far greater body. We are merely building blocks for a higher life, and in that sense we are utterly expandable. It is not us that matter. There is no us. There is only the Siddhic programming to create more and more abundance in every direction and at every level of consciousness. That is the true definition of bounteousness. So how beautiful, we're all bounteousness. So how beautiful is that? So just like an organism, we each have our role, yes, but we're part of a whole organism. We're not just alone and individuated. We're in the beginning. But after that we evolve, we see that we are part of a greater biodome. We're all connected. So thank you very much. Another wonderful gene key number 14, goes to show that we shouldn't compromise in life. And although if we do, we should get out of that shadow through the gift of competence. And by being in competence for a while, we can finally be bounteousness. So we're all geniuses. However, we limit ourselves by our limited beliefs. So live in your authenticity. Follow your passion. Follow what excites you. And you'll live a life of fulfillment. You'll be what truly means to be happy, to be free, to be yourself, and to be authentic. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, or subscribe. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your feedback. And I look forward to the next one. God bless every single one of you. Ciao.